Yo, what is going on, Guardians? And welcome back to another not Destiny gameplay video, but another video, and it has some Destiny references in it. Yo, hey, this is me fielding the questions for the Q&A, the questions that you all submitted last week. I posted a video saying I was going to do a Q&A. I haven't done one in forever, like well over a year. Last time I did one was at 30,000 subs. We're now at just under 170K, so it's been a good while. I don't really do lots of Q&As because I don't think that I'm nearly as interesting as my gameplay or tips. But anyways, y'all are interested, so I figured I'd go ahead and do one of these. So I'm going to field these questions. These are the questions that were the most upvoted on that video that I posted. So I said, post your questions in the comment section, upvote the ones that you want me to field. And so these are the ones that were the most popular. So we're going to get cranking right here. And we're going to start with this one. Do you ever get hate mail? And if so, how often? I think it's just it's an occupational hazard. You know, I get hate mail all the time. My notification, by the way, just a reminder, my notifications are off. I get messages all the time, be it hate or requests for trials, invitations, party invites. All this, I don't see those. I mean, it's a complete waste of your time if you're gonna send those. And that's not meant to be vain. That's just the reality of it. I wouldn't be able to see my radar. I would just have notifications popping up, ceaselessly if I had those on. So I keep those off. They all go to my phone is where I see those things. Every now and then I'll kind of check the messages, and it's kind of fun. Sometimes you scroll through them and it's just a whole bunch of hate mails. It's all the time, and it's not just on the PlayStation. I get it, not just in my PlayStation messages, but I also get hate mail when I'm streaming Twitch. People will whisper stupid, nasty things to me. People will show up in the chat and just throw shade. The YouTube comment section can often be filled with a bunch of crap as well. It's just an occupational hazard, and you can't let it get to you. It doesn't really... I would like to say that it never bothers me. Some of it really bothers me. Some of it that mentions things like my family and stuff like that. That bothers me. That legitimately makes me want to hire a PI. You know what I mean? But that stuff I just think is off limits no matter who you are. But not everyone respects that. But it happens. Most of it is just kind of water off a duck's back. So I get plenty of hate mail. If you've sent me any and I didn't respond to it, sorry. Sometimes I just see it really late. But anyways, just field that question. Yeah, I get plenty of hate mail. Maybe you probably do too every now and then, but it happens. What would you like to see in Destiny 2? Next question. What would I like to see in Destiny 2? Yeah, I actually have a video on this. It's called My Destiny 2 Wish List. And I bring up a lot of different things in that video. To field that question extensively right now would probably make this Q&A video way longer than you want it to be. But bottom line is I want competitive PvP to be a priority in the development stages, not as an afterthought. I feel like with Destiny 1, they really were trying to do a unique PvE experience, and they wanted to have PvP as well. Bungie's always done fantastic competitive shooters. So they were equipped to make a good competitive shooter. It's just difficult because it's a new genre for them. So I think Destiny 1, it was like we'll balance it as we go. We'll try and make it as competitive as possible. But Destiny 1 is, in my opinion, it's a great learning experience for Bungie, so that going into Destiny 2, they can really take what they've learned and make a really skilled competitive shooter. And I think that kind of ties in with the next question of how would you balance the game. Sometimes balance is both good and bad. Balance can water down a game pretty quickly. But I just want things to be viable. It's okay to have some things that are more effective than others. That's totally fine. In fact, I prefer it that way. Year 1 Destiny, people were kind of discovering the shooter and discovering all of the weapons and the skill sets and the strategies and all that business. And there was clearly, there was always a meta, but even when it was the Thorn Last Word meta game, right? The Thorn Last Word era, as long as that one was. Even so, the gap between the meta, what really worked, and everything else was not so wide that you couldn't use other things and compete. So as long as it's like that, where the gap isn't so big between what works and what doesn't, then you can still play off meta and get away with it and have wild success, depending on your player's skill. I want an environment like that. I would also love to see like ranked playlists, a good quantifiable level of your skill, because people like that. They like to be able to throw out a number and say, here, my skill level is X. My SR in Overwatch is this, right? That's what really got me hooked into Halo 3 back when I was in college. So being able to attain a number, right? That's a big deal. So I'd love to see the competitive side of Destiny to be a priority in the development stages. And so at launch, we have some of those new competitive features to make Destiny. I think long term, that's where Destiny's life is going to thrive, is in the PvP. That's my opinion. I mean, it could be wrong. They could just completely blow it out of the water with the PvE content. I hope that they do. I really hope that they do. But yeah, I won't expound on that too much because I don't want to take up your whole day. But anyways, what game or games really got you into gaming? Well, I in my 30K Q&A, I actually answered a very similar question, what got you into gaming. But just to recap, because I know that a lot of you guys haven't seen that, because we've like quadrupled in size since then, plus quintupled. We've over quintupled in size since then, because y'all are so supportive. But anyways, just to field that question again, I grew up on video games. My dad, when he was dating my mom, it was Pac-Man and Atari, so that's what we had when I was born, right? I played a little bit of Joust on the Atari, right? The original Nintendo. I remember getting a Super Nintendo. I remember getting a Sega Genesis and playing the crap out of Sonic, playing the crap out of the original Mario Kart. I played tons of Super Mario Brothers. The first game that really got me into like competitive shooting, first-person shooters, was definitely GoldenEye. GoldenEye 007 for the Nintendo 64, right? I'd have my friends come over and we'd play the crap out of that, even try to find clever ways of keeping you from screen peeking, right? You tape a sheet on the halfway point and one guy's underneath the sheet looking at the bottom screen, right? And you're looking over them. The screen peek days. Some of you guys don't even remember what that was like, I'm sure, but we had to deal with it. That's what we had to deal with. But played a bunch of GoldenEye 007, played, like Perfect Dark, played a lot of Super Smash Brothers, and then Melee. I remember getting the GameCube, and that was such a huge deal. I remember getting the GameCube for Christmas with Super Smash Brothers. But I played tons of video games growing up. And then in high school, it was the original Xbox. We were playing Halo Combat Evolved, which came out when I was in middle school. I was like in 6th grade, I think, or 7th grade or something like that. But it really like grew and took off, so that when I was in high school is when they were doing all these tournaments, local tournaments, tournaments in neighboring cities that we would drive to, take my team from my hometown, and we'd compete. Sometimes we'd win cash and come home, with cash prizes for these Halo tournaments. Did tons of LAN parties. That's my genesis story when it comes to competitive shooting. Was really, honestly, it really took off with Halo Combat Evolved, and then moved on from there. When I got into college, that's when Halo 3 came out. It was when I was in college, so I played the crap out of that. Played a ton. I skipped too many classes to play Halo 3, and I got my first 50 in Lone Wolves, which was a great feeling because I mean, at that time I was playing largely solo, so it was tough in the 4v4 playlists to rank up too high. So I was a bit of a lone wolf player, and that's my genesis story when it comes to competitive shooting. Can you bring back Mom on TV? Yes. I technically never went away, but I'm just kind of biding my time going through the submissions, because if I were to watch all of the submissions I got, I kind of dramatically underestimated how many I'd get. And I don't want to shell it out on other people. I don't want to have like people in my community watch these and then just tell me which ones they liked the best. I want to commit, like I said I would, to watching all of them myself. Now, if I were to watch all of the submissions from start to finish, I would be watching gameplay for over a week straight without sleep. Just so you know how many submissions I received. I got a lot. I got a lot of gameplay. So I'm still trying to every now and then just find blocks of time to look through these submissions. I still have them, all of them that got submitted within the time parameters. Anything after the date that I made the cutoff, I'm not gonna. Like I said, I'm not gonna watch that just because there's already so much. So I gave a time limit as to when you could submit, and those are the ones that I'm considering for episode 3, right? The jukes. So I still have gameplay to watch. I've watched several hours of gameplay already. I've flagged the ones that I'm going to revisit that I thought were potential candidates for the final cut. But yeah, I just dramatically underestimated how much it would be, to be honest. So if I was a bachelor living in an apartment, I was out of school, and this is what I did full time, I could knock that out easily. But I got 2 kids and a wife and a house and a dog, and it's just. I've got my 8 hours a day, and that's what I committed to, and so that's where I try and get all my work done. So yeah. Next question, 2 more. These next 2 are a little more personal. They're less game oriented, right? So the next one is, how did you meet your wife, and how long have you been married? I met my wife when we were in college at Indiana Wesleyan University. She worked at the coffee shop, and she was just the hot brunette that made my coffee, and I thought she was pretty smoking. So I never really flirted with her, engaged in much conversation beyond, I'll just have a fresh brewed coffee, please. Until on my birthday one year. It was, my birthday is January 8th, so it's right at the beginning of the second semester of each year. So on my birthday one year, my sophomore year, was my first, second semester of my sophomore year. My birthday was the first day of class for that semester. And she and I both took a class in the, it was basically a journalism class, because I was like a double major at the time. Writing was one of my majors. So I just needed something that fit those parameters for a credit. So I took this journalism class. I showed up late to the class. I was always a sit in the front kind of person, because if I sit in the back, I zone out. I'm too ADD. I just zone out and I miss everything. And then I'm like, oh crap. So I'm always a sit in the front kind of person, because I know that's what's best for me. I showed up late to class. I don't remember why I was late, but I was late. And I walked in like as they were getting started, and there were only 2 seats left in the classroom. And one was right up front, and that's where I was thinking I was probably going to go, until I saw that the second one was right next to this hot girl that made my coffee. And I was like, yeah, that's going to happen. So I sat by her, struck up conversation, asked her out 3 times. Eventually she said yes. Persistence pays off, you know. So the 3rd time was by the barrel of a gun. I asked her, and she finally accepted. That's not true. Don't repeat. That was a joke. She eventually came. She let me take her out on a date. Our very first date, I got locked in a Starbucks bathroom. Our very first date. Take her out to this nice dinner in an Italian restaurant, and then we go for coffee afterwards at a Starbucks that was right by the restaurant. And, it'd been a while, so I had to pee. So I go in the bathroom and lock the door, pee, wash my hands, and I go to open the door. The latch had gotten stuck and would not retract. So the deadbolt or whatever latched over. So there was no manager there. It was just a couple of baristas, these like teenage girls. They had no idea what to do. So they called their manager, who called a locksmith. Locksmith said he'd be there like within an hour, hour and a half. And I'm like, I'm on a date. I don't want to be locked in a bathroom for an hour and a half. So they told me I could try to kick the door down, and I did. I kicked a Starbucks door down on our first date. True story. They let us keep the latch. They said, oh, if you ever get married, this will be a fun memory. You got to keep the latch. So I kept the latch. I don't know where it is. It's somewhere in the house. Or I'd show it to you. But anyways, that's a random story. But we met at college in a class. Eventually got engaged, got married in 2010. So we've been married for I gotta get this right, or else I'm gonna be screwed. We're going on 7 years, so 6.5 years, going on 7. So I don't remember. I was like, what year is it? Is it 2016? Because we just rolled over, right? I'm like, is it 2016 or 2017? But that's how out of touch I am. It's 2017, so that's easy math. 6.5 years. Cool. that's my story with my wife. The last question, I was surprised this got upvoted as much as it did, but the question was, are you a Christian? I know that religion is an edgy topic, but I'm curious because you said you were a pastor. Here's my opinion. Religion should not be an edgy topic. If the topic of religion gets you on edge and defensive, then I think that's more of a personal issue with you than it is with religion itself. I think that as with all things, people's religious belief systems, the conversations about that should be filled with patience, should be filled with kindness and grace. And I don't think that knowing what someone believes should affect the way that you view them in a negative way, unless it's like unless it's like an extremist position, obviously, then fine. But if someone's Islamic, I'm not going to think less of them just because I believe something different. If someone is Jewish, one of my closest friends is Jewish, and I'm Christian, and the belief systems themselves don't always mix, but that should not taint the way that you see another human being. So I don't think that religion should be an edgy topic unless it's extremism and it's violent and it's hateful. So the question of am I Christian, because yes, I did. I worked in the ministry. I worked in a church for several years. That's where I come from. And I didn't leave the church and stop working for the church because I had a falling out or anything. I stopped to do this full time because I found out very quickly that the lifestyle that I wanted to lead with my family is really difficult to do as a full-time minister. As a full-time minister, you're often putting in 50 to 60 hours a week. You're canceling your own plans on the fly because a couple has called you up and they said, look, we're ready to walk away from our marriage, but we really want to talk with you about it before we make that decision. You got to stop what you're doing. You got to stop what you're doing, and you have to put other people's lives in the foreground and put your own in the background oftentimes. So I did that for a while, and it was good, and I don't regret any of that work at all, because seeing people's lives transformed, regardless of how it's done, is always rewarding. So you may not be a Christian, and that's totally fine. I'm not gonna judge you for it. You may have a different belief system, but what I've found is I have seen people's lives take 180 complete turnaround changes because they've latched on to the teaching of Jesus Christ, and it's changed their lives for the better. I've seen addicts find healing and find a new life. I've seen marriages get turned around. People who are willing to walk away from themselves or from each other, from their kids, that sort of thing. I've seen them make a change and find a life that's filled with joy and happiness and fulfillment because they've latched onto the teaching of Jesus Christ. So that's where I fall. I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe that he was the Son of God. And I believe that when you really dig into his teachings, you will learn to love and treat other people with respect and with kindness, with grace. I believe that you will act out in humility. And I'm not a perfect person, not by a long shot. I have my shortcomings. I am by nature a very reactive and sometimes even vindictive person, reactionary. Sometimes that's even apparent. You guys could even see my cracks sometimes when I see things in the comment section that sort of get under my skin, and I react to it in a way that's maybe not too edifying or very accurately reflective of my belief system. That's because I'm not a perfect person, and sometimes frankly I screw up. But luckily I believe in a God who is filled with grace and compassion, Jesus Christ. Even the most what you might call sinful of people were the ones that he treated with the most grace and respect. Those are the people that he spent time with. Those are the people that he loved on, and he put their needs above his own. And I believe ultimately gave up his life so that we could live free from the power of guilt and condemnation. So that's my belief. You asked. I'm sorry if anyone is offended by that, but frankly, I don't understand why someone would be offended by a belief system that causes you to value other people above yourself. So that's just my 2 cents. Like I said, sorry, but y'all asked it and you upvoted it, so I thought you wanted to know. But there it is. I'll just throw that out there. But that concludes the questions. Let me just wrap up by saying I am so incredibly grateful for this community and the way that you've honestly changed my life. Because of the support of this community, I can live a life where I can really invest in my children. I can really invest in my wife and in my marriage. And I am 100% honestly the happiest I've ever been in life right now today. And y'all played a big part of that. So you were you were a fulcrum on which my life took a dramatic shift. So thank you so much for watching the Q&A. Even if you got to this point, I know it's been a long video, but I wanted to field these questions extensively and honestly. So thank you so much, everybody. I look forward to catching you in the Crucible. Peace.